Okay. And we'll start with research paper. Okay. All right, just a little bit for those who weren't here last time. Get some of this physics out of the way here. If that's bothering you, I'll erase it later. Okay, no. Okay. For those who weren't here last time, are all of you familiar with Blackboard? Okay. Now, nothing's in Blackboard yet for this course. I finished getting your syllabus updated last night, and literally I was falling asleep at the computer, and I said, if I try to put it in Blackboard, I'm going to mess it up. So I just went to bed. So hopefully tomorrow, I don't have any office hours today, but hopefully tomorrow, when I do have some office hours, I'll have a chance to upload that. We're still canceling classes that don't have enough students. I'm still trying to find instructors for those classes that have made. I've lost a few instructors over the summer that I didn't find out about until this week, or last week. So we're still trying to get a couple of new people hired, and I'm the math department chair, so that eats up a lot of time. So if I can get all that done tomorrow, then I hope to get to working on syllabi and things like this. Now this I haven't, there's one little thing I need to update on this too, or a couple little things. I'll show you what they are when we get there. But for those who, once they get the stuff in Blackboard, in the upper left corner of the home page of Blackboard, there are a bunch of tabs, and one of the second or third one is content, and that's where everything will go. It's not there yet. Your syllabus will be there. The research paper instructions will be there once I have it corrected. The locator card will be there, which I'm going to show you next. It's already done. I'll also put the PowerPoints. Now, this probably won't be done tomorrow because I've got to remember to carry the DVD with me, and I'm liable to forget that because I'm going to be on Birmingham campus tomorrow. So that may be next week before I get the PowerPoints out there. And then I'll also put there on Blackboard under content any websites that students have told me about or I found myself and said, hey, this really helps. Okay, so I'll put those out there. And then the last thing usually is the YouTube link. Now you can go on YouTube and look for my name and look for the class, look for Math 112 syllabus, and you'll probably find it. You may find several. Find the most recent one if you can tell that on YouTube. Okay, and you can. That's what I named that. This one. Okay. All right. Any questions before I get started here? Okay, you get to choose the topic. Now, did we do any of this last time, or okay? You get to choose the topic. Choose something to do with pre-calculus algebra. Any way you can do it. It can be a person, and we'll run into several people in the course of studying this. It can be a theory. There's a few theories you'll see. If one of those really strikes an interest with you, that's great. A phenomenon that is described or explained or deals with pre-calculus algebra. An application, I really love these, okay? I had a student sitting right back there where Eric is sitting. This was several years ago. It was a trig class, not pre-calculus algebra, pre-calculus trig. He lived in McCalla, I believe it was, but he was a Jeff State student. But for some reason, something in the math department there or something, he drove by us every day and he just decided he wanted to take his math here. So he did. He had Math 112, I think, with me, but then he had 113. And he was a forestry major, pre-forestry major, was going to be transferring to Auburn when he finished this. And for the trig class, he wrote on applications of trigonometry in forestry. Do you think there are any? One thing foresters do, they go out and estimate prices, board feet, that kind of stuff from looking at a stand of trees. How do they do that? They measure or estimate the diameter or the rate or the circumference of the tree, and then they have to estimate the height. Well, do you think they take a tape measure and climb the tree and see how tall it is? Probably not, okay? What they do, they have a section, they measure the angle from the horizontal, and they now have an estimate. And using trigonometry, he wrote a paper on that. Now, he wasn't a great writer, he was an okay writer, but I loved this topic because he took what the class was about and applied it to the field he was going to look, or an interest of his, or something like that. So application, there's tons of things you can do there. Any other such topic about which you have an interest that you can relate to pre-calculus algebra. Okay, now I've also opened it up for one other. Remember I said those websites, YouTube videos, or things like this that you may find useful? If you find one that you say, wow, this makes so much better sense than the book, well, that stinking instructor said, so, wow, I want to write on that, by all means. That way, if it's a good website, and I agree, I'll put it out there for everybody to use, okay? So you can write on a website how you found it helpful, what it did that the book or I didn't do, or how it made it clearer to you, that kind of stuff. If you can write a 1 to 2 page paper on that, fantastic. Okay? Now, what I want you to do today or next week, okay, is write your name on a piece of paper. That's pretty easy, right? Also, I'd like you to write down your first guess at what you might want to write on. Okay? So if you need to take the weekend, thumb through the book, think about it, pick a topic that you might want to write on. You can later change that if you find out when you start researching and looking for sources, say, I can't find anything, or, yeah, this is boring, or, whoa, this is too heady, I can't understand any of it. If you want to change, you certainly can, okay? But I want you to write your name and at least your first attempt at a topic on a piece of paper, and then give me 2 other pieces of information. I used to make one of these optional, but at the faculty meeting last week, they wanted us to do this, wanted everybody to do this. Your preferred email address, okay? For years, the administration was just send them an email, just send them an email. And it was just about impossible to get them to realize not everybody reads their Lawson State email, okay? A lot of people do. Congratulations, fantastic if you do. But we found out a lot didn't. And finally this year they said, find out their preferred email, okay? So if you have an email address you know you'll use more frequently than Lawson, I'd still say use Lawson because there'll be things out there that you might need to know. But if there is one that's more likely to get to you, write that down, okay? And if you use Lawson, you can just write Lawson email. You don't have to write down the address. I have that. Okay, second thing is your preferred phone number. Because, like I said, I've been canceling some classes. I always try to call the students before I cancel a class. And when was it? Monday evening, I was having to cancel 2 classes, a total of 11 students. And I'm almost certain 5 of those either had disconnected numbers, number not in service, it rang and rang and rang, and I couldn't tell if anyone was there, or mailbox has not been set up yet, or doesn't have a mailbox, or something. So I never knew whether I couldn't leave a message, I couldn't let the student know that the class was being canceled. So if you can give me your very best phone number, that's the 4th piece of information. Your name, your paper topic, your preferred email address, and your preferred phone number. Now, I want to put a couple other possibilities out there. I'm guessing most of your preferred phone numbers are going to be those little cell phones I see on your desk, right? Makes sense. But if there's a chance that could be left at home or run over by a car or fallen behind the sofa and you can't find it, or the battery died, or anything could have happened to it, and if you want to give me your best backup number, you can. That's completely up to you. Mama's landline or something like that, that would be fine, okay? Or some of you may actually work. And if you do work, and a lot of jobs don't allow you to have cell phones, while you're at work or use the cell phone while you're at work, but you can take an incoming call at work and you want to give me that number, that's fine too. Those two are optional, but the others they really want us to have. Okay? Now, you'll need to find at least one, but two or more are better, outside sources for your paper. Now, the book is a great place to get ideas for your paper. It's not a great place to get a source. You got the book. I want you to get outside the book, okay? So anything that you find in the library, books, journals, newspapers, magazines, whatever, any kind of articles, anything else you can either find in the library or get the library to get for you, like interlibrary loan and stuff like that, fantastic. Great sources, okay? Now, I also allow, a lot of people don't, if it's a legitimate source found on the internet. I tell most of my classes this. If you were to press me for what's the greatest thing that's been invented during my lifetime, I would have to say it's the internet. Because it didn't exist in 1951, okay? I don't think. And it's all happened since I've been alive. And it is incredible. Two really big problems with it. Probably more than that, but I know of two. One, at least half of the stuff on the internet is total garbage, okay? And the second problem is sometimes we don't know which half. So be very careful about what you get off the internet. If it's a good, reliable source, if you're in any doubt, bring the source to me. We'll look at it and I'll say, oh yeah, that sounds good. Or, hey, I'm not too sure about that one. All right, but the textbook is not an outside source. It's a great source for ideas, but not the source for your paper. Now, your paper needs to be at least one word processed page of text. Notice that doesn't mean handwritten. I prefer it not even be typed. If anyone even has a typewriter and knows what one looks like, I doubt it. But word process, that's what everybody uses, okay? What do I mean by one word processed page of text? A lot of students, you don't have to, but a lot of students will have some sort of a header up here and then a bunch of space and then a title and maybe a triple space. They finally start typing right about there, okay? What's one page of text? It's going to go to the bottom of that page, and then on the second sheet of paper, come down at least that far on the second sheet. So it's going to have to be at least two pieces of paper to get one full page of text, right? Okay. Now, I'll let you double space. I want it double space. This is single space. I want you to double space. It's easier for me to read and mark and that kind of stuff. So that takes away a lot of words you have to do, okay? And I want standard font. What is it, 12 pitch, 12 point, whatever they call that. No 26 points, 5 words fill up a page that I'm through. You know that's not going to work, okay? So, I don't care what font you use as long as I can read it. I don't read hieroglyphics or Old English or Greek or Latin or Cyrillic or something like that. So keep it something nice and readable. I don't care which one, okay? As long as it's a nice readable font. Try to keep the paper less than 2 pages. I don't want this to be a big major thing. This is a math class, not really a writing class, but they do, like this, Sachs and other places like that, want to have evidence of writing across the curriculum is what they call it. So when they ask for things like this, I need to be able to show that people do. So, I say try to keep it less than 2 pages just to keep you from thinking, oh, I don't have enough. Shoot for 1 to 2 pages of text, okay? Now, if you find a subject that you're so interested in and you're just eating the stuff up and you want to go over. I mean, I don't penalize you for being too long. I do penalize if it's too short, okay? With that said, I found out very rarely, but I have had it happen a couple times, nothing recently, but I've had some folks that for some reason think, there's an old saying in the Navy, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with BS or something like that. But anyway, I don't want that. I'd rather be dazzled than baffled, okay? So please, don't try to substitute quantity for quality. And I swear, a couple of these, I can remember them now. They just wrote. Thinking, oh, he's going to be really impressed with that, but it was such a lousy, the writing, it was terrible, okay, and I had to read it all, okay. Now, and guess what? When you turn in your paper, it's a 100-point paper. I can hear you now say, well, don't read it. No, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to grade it. And as I read, if I do find errors, you're losing points, okay? So if you turn into me a pile of junk, and it has lots of errors in it, and you make it go on forever, guess what? Losing points, losing points, losing points. So please write me good papers. If you're really interested in it, keep going. Fine, I enjoy reading good papers. Okay, you're not going to lose many points on a good paper, but don't try to baffle. Okay, so shoot for 1 to 2 pages. It's okay if you go. I don't care what format you use. A lot of English classes teach MLA, Modern Language Association format. A lot of scientific organizations like to use APA, which is American Psychological Association format. There are tons of formats out there. I don't care which one you use. What I want you to do is be consistent. My wife is a researcher at UAB, a professor there, and literally most of the journals she submits papers to and gets published, almost like every one of them has a different format. But they have computer programs that say, put this in Journal of New England Medicine format, or JAMA format, or whatever, and they pretty much take care of that kind of stuff. I don't have those packages. Okay, you pick and stay with it. Let me give you just an example. Now, I don't see this frequently either, but I have seen it before. Someone references a source up here in the first paragraph, maybe, or somewhere, and they open parentheses like the format calls for, and they put last name of the author, comma, date of publication, close parentheses. And then later down here, they make reference to different work. But it's the same type of work, but they open parentheses, put the title of the article, comma, page number. Now wait a minute, I think I know what happened. This work they cited here used one format to make references, and they just used that format. And this one down here used a different one because it was a different journal or book or whatever. And then they used that. That's not being consistent. The main thing is consistency. For instance, if you block your paragraphs, block all the paragraphs. If you indent them, indent them all. If you start in Arial font, don't change the Times New Roman in the third paragraph. That's just not being consistent. It's being sloppy. You're producing a poor product. You lose points. Okay. Spelling, grammar, sentence structure, all those things that English people harp on. Yeah, I know most of those things, so you'll lose points for that. There's no reason in the world not to use spell check and grammar check. It's in every word processing package. But guess what? I see some papers. This especially happens when I can tell the person's in a rush, like the end of the term or something like that. I get this thing, I said, there's no way that spell check wouldn't have called that one. It's not a legitimate word, just used wrong, spelled, but it's nowhere close. So I know that some people don't, and there's no reason not to. And also use good proofreading. Now, all those things take off. Content also matters. Most of the subjects you choose to write on, I'm going to know something about. And when I read them and there's inconsistencies there, or things that are just stated incorrectly, yeah, you're going to lose points there too. So be sure you be careful. Produce a good product. Okay? Now, when is the paper due? It's not actually physically due until the last day of class. That's before final exam week, the last day of class, which will probably be the first Thursday in December. Okay? But please don't wait till then to do it. Okay? Because at the end of the term, you're going to have exams, you're going to have tests, you're going to have other projects, you're going to have presentations, you're going to have all sorts of things in all your classes, and you're not going to be able to produce a good product. Get started now. Get it done now. You'll never have more time to work on it than you do right now. Any of you have any major homework due next week, Monday or Tuesday? Not yet. Get started on it now, please. Okay? And now, if you turn in the paper after that last day of class, not last day of finals, last day of class, you lose points. Okay? If you turn it in the month of December, that is that last week, you just get your score. If you turn it in the month of November, you get your score plus a bonus point. October, 2 bonus points. September, 3 bonus points. If you turn it in next week, in August, 4 bonus points. Get working this weekend, people. That's almost half a letter grade right there. Okay? So, that's what I got to change in this, is just the months, because this was the one I did for summer term. Okay? Now, here's one thing I require that most people don't. When you submit your paper, please attach a single page from one of your sources. So if you got something out of the library, then take that over and copy me a single page from that source. Now, you may have had 3 or 4 sources. Just pick a source, any source, and print or copy me a page from the source. If it's something off the internet, then print me a page, a single page. I don't need the whole article, just a single page. Okay? Now, if you did choose to write on a YouTube video, there aren't many pages there, are there? So send me the link for that video, and I'll check it out and make sure that's legitimate, that kind of stuff. Okay? Any questions? All right. Once I get the months changed, I'll get that corrected, and then sometime soon get those on Blackboard as well. Okay. I think I may use that for my next class. I don't remember if it finished or not. Okay. One last, well, not quite the last, almost the last thing to talk about is my locator card. Now, I'm going to have this posted on my door to my office, but it's not there yet. I wasn't sure that all these classes, I think when I met with you before, I was still hoping I might lose one of those really small classes. Nope, I didn't. There was at least one student in every one of 4 small classes I had that needed to graduate, and I wanted to graduate, so I'm going on and teaching the class. So I'm not in the office very much. Sorry about that. But there's my name, my phone number, my email address, and here's my schedule. Okay. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I have a packed to the gills, filling every seat in here, Math 100 class, Monday and Wednesday, 8 to 9:15. And then it's followed by a Calculus 2 class that only has 2 or 3 students in it, but at least one of them had to have it to keep on track for graduation. And so I want them to graduate, otherwise we don't get to count them as a completer. That goes from 9:30 to 11:10 because that's a 4-hour course. So then nominally my lunch hour is 11:15 to 12:15, but I'm in the office then. I bring my lunch and I eat in the office, so you can contact me then if you need to. And then after lunch, 12:15 to 1:55, again a 4-hour course, so it's a little bit longer, Calculus 3. And I only have 2 or 3 students in that one, but one of them had to have it to graduate. They're graduating this term. And then I follow that with a differential equations class, and that's 2 to 3:15. That's just a 3-hour course. And there's only a couple or 3 students in that one, but one of them had to have it. I thought I could lose that one, but one of them is graduating this term, so I have to have it, okay, or I'm doing it. And then my only office hours, really dedicated office hours, are Monday, Wednesday afternoon from 3:15 to 5:15, and I'm off campus at 5:15. Now, technically, I'm supposed to leave a little earlier, but that's because I have so few office hours, I'm going to extend to that. Okay. Tuesday and Thursday, that's the day y'all are here. You may be here all the day, but that's when we have class. This class is almost packed to the gills here, 8 to 9:15, followed immediately by Math 113, Pre-Calculus Trig, 9:30 to 10:45. And that one's a pretty good sized class too. I think it's around 18 now or something like that. Then my 237, which is the one I thought was going to lose, it's up to 4 students, and guess what? One of them's graduating this term, so he has to have it. So I'm teaching that. My lunch is in 12:15 to 1:15. Now this is first mini-term, okay? And I think I put that on the thing too. This will change at the mini-term because first mini-term at 1:15, a physical science class starts, and it's a mini-term, so it's 2.5 hours of class and 2 hours of lab both days, okay? So we're in here all afternoon from 1:15, class goes until 3:45, and then the lab starts and goes until 5:45, so off campus, sometime around 6 o'clock, okay? So the only time I'm in the office period is the 15 minutes before class, the 1 hour at lunch, and the 15 minutes at the end of class, at the end of the day. That's all I'm in the office at all. Now, once second mini-term starts, the Physical Science 112, a lot of the automotive students are taking that. They don't finish their classes until 3 o'clock, so I can't start the Physical Science 112 until 3:15, so I'm going to have some office hours after in the second mini-term. But then, of course, I'll be here till 8 o'clock at night, but fun times in the whole town tonight. Okay, and then the last is on Fridays. This is the biggest group of office hours I have. The only trouble is I'm on the Birmingham campus. And I'm there from 7:45 in the morning until at least 11:45, okay? Most of the time I'm there after 11:45. Technically, I don't need to be there that many hours, but that's my catch-up time to get everything else done I couldn't do during the week. Okay. So, any questions on when I'm on campus, off campus, in class, out of class? Okay. This, again, it'll be on Blackboard and it'll be posted on my door at some point in the future. This is complete. This is finished. I know what it is now. I just haven't put it on Blackboard yet. Okay, I'm going to leave that. Now, before we get started in math, one other topic. That's the topic of safety. Okay? Now, what can be dangerous about a math class? Not much, except things outside the math class, okay? Can anyone think of one of 3 areas of safety? I'm going to talk about 3. Anyone think of at least one of those 3 that I'll probably talk about? Say again? Fire, exactly. What if something happens inside the building? A fire, a chemical spill, something that is hazardous. Let's start with the most immediate. Let's say my computer blew up, okay? I hope it doesn't. And the fire starts in this room. What are some things we need to think about and do if something like that initiates here? And it catches that huge stack of papers on fire, and the desk is wood. Okay. What do we do? What are some of the things we need to do if the fire starts in here? Yes?
Leave calmly and find a fire alarm.
Okay. Got 2 really good things there. And one thing I forgot to do, I forgot to bring in my grade book. I brought in the grade sheets, but not the grade book. Remind me on Tuesday to give you the number for the campus police, okay? But what he said, one of those was the fire alarm. If it starts in here, we're the first to know. We need to notify the rest of the building. Good thinking there. Where is the closest fire alarm? Anyone know? You're wandering around campus. You probably wandered around all these halls saying, where am I? Where is the closest fire alarm? Yeah, that's what I thought too. Okay, I didn't know either until I started looking around and found out this big horseshoe here, this right here, we're in this corner right here, going down this way, the long hall there, the long that goes back this way. This part of the building was built before, believe it or not, before fire alarms were required by code. Not a fire alarm anywhere on these old halls. Nowhere. So the closest one, now this building was built in pieces. I think this is the oldest piece here. This is the next oldest piece here where we are. And I think they were built fairly close to each other. Then there was a place here built, I call it the nursing wing. Okay? And then they built the student services area. Well, that's technically first floor. actually, the nurses part is first floor too, but we still put it on here. But the student services area is in here. That's the new part. That's the closest new part. So what you do, and I would suggest 2 people go. If it starts in here, 2 people go, so in case something happens. So go out the door here, hang a left, go down that half flight of stairs right there, down to this corridor, right past the restroom that goes across to the first floor. Now notice you're on the 2nd floor here, you walk that corridor, you don't go up or down a single step, and suddenly you're on the first floor. Boy, what a weird building. Okay, but when you get there, you can either turn to the left or turn to the right. You'll find the fire alarm on both of those walls, very close to where that corridor comes out. Okay, so very good call, fire alarm. What's another good call before we calmly get out? Yes? Second? Okay, yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. But with that fire, there's something else. We pulled the alarm, and I mentioned the telephone, didn't I? I'm going to try to remember to give you the campus police number. That would be the best. I would think it would be a great idea for you to put that on speed dial on your phone. You got it. What is it? Okay, read it. That's 426-3654. Did I give it to you, or did you have it somewhere else? Yeah, okay. Oh, I gave it to you last time. Oh, in physical science. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, everybody get that? Okay, read it again. Out loud, really loud. It's 426-3654. Call now. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Now, so somebody does that. Now, if you don't have that one in, what's the next best thing to call? 911. Okay? If you call campus police, they'll let the 911 people know. But if you don't have that number handy, call 911. Okay? So we've got we alarmed for the building to know, and we've notified police or emergency people. What's another good thing to do if it started in this room?
Fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher. Where's the closest fire extinguisher? Is it down the other way? Huh? Sorry? Not quite. Is this wall right here? 5 feet from where I'm standing. We couldn't be much closer to the fire extinguisher than where we are right there. So yes, someone go get a fire extinguisher. Someone's dialing, or a speed dial. Someone's going to ring the alarm, and someone's getting me a fire extinguisher if I'm not doing it. Okay? Now I'll take care of the fire. And then the other thing that you said was carefully, safely proceed out of the building. Okay? With a fire, you go out. Okay? With a chemical spill, you go out. Okay? And how do you do that? Where's the closest exit? Go out the door here, hang a left, go down that half flight of stairs. Immediately at the bottom, go down a full flight of stairs. That gets you down to the first floor, then go out of the building. Now, where do we go when we go out of the building? Originally, they just said go 75 feet away from the building in case there's explosions or stuff that blows glass out. Now they're saying go to the parking lot. This is not an easy thing to see. This parking lot right here, right down here, they say go to this parking lot. Coming out of these doors, this end of the building, go to that parking lot. The one down there between here and Temple Hall. Okay, you go slowly, carefully, safely, proceed out of the building. Stay together. So when I go, I'm going to grab my roll book and go, and when we get there, and guess what? I will be the last one out. Now, all of you look pretty able-bodied right now, right? But what if some of you have a skiing accident, or you twist an ankle, or a basketball injury, or something? You're on crutches, or a wheelchair, or something. I'm with the last person out of here, making sure you get out safely. And then we make our way to the parking lot, and then I'm going to call roll. Okay? If we can't account for everybody, some emergency personnel, myself or someone else, has to come back into a burning building and look for you. Stay together, at least until we get the roll call made. And then, if you want to mingle around with friends and stuff, don't go home. Don't say, hey, no more classes today, the building's on fire. No, hang tight, get the roll call. They'll let us know something. by the way, there's a really good chance there will be a fire drill sometime this term. May not be on a Tuesday or Thursday morning at 8, but it'll be sometime this term. So be thinking, where do you go? Closest exit out. Okay? Careful. Any questions on fire or chemical spill, something inside the building? What was the next thing? Inclement weather, something outside the building. And guess what? In the fall, we still have tornado watches and stuff. Not as frequent as spring, but we could. And we could have severe weather. That can happen. What happens if we hear that alarm goes off? What do? We do what? Get away from windows. That's a good idea. And here's how best to get away from windows. Go low and interior. Whereas for a fire or something inside the building, go low and outside. Now we go low and in. So if you start the same way, you leave the room, take a left, go down the half flight of stairs, immediately take another left, and when you're there at the bottom, don't go out. Tornadoes, severe thunderstorm, one of the worst places you can be is in a car trying to get home to get the dog out. No, let the dog alone, okay? Low and interior. Go back this way. The safest place to be in inclement weather is where there's near a wall. Close walls are better than far walls. Sitting in the middle of this room, not a good idea. Okay? And with all the glass and stuff, not a good idea. Corners are the strongest part of the building because you've got support from two sides. Okay? If not corners, close walls. Okay? So if you look at our map here, once you go down to the first floor, you go interior. First thing you see are two restrooms. And actually those walls are really close together, lots of corners. That's really a safe place to be. Maybe not your preferred place to be for a couple of hours, but it would be fairly safe. Right next to that, underneath this corridor on the second floor, is the dean's office. Okay? The academic dean has an office down there, and sometimes she or the associate dean or somebody else from the Birmingham campus uses that office. If someone's in there, it's interior and it's close walls. Not a bad place to be. Okay? The hallway is not bad. There's no corners there, but the walls are relatively close. The big advantage of the hallway, as opposed to the restrooms or the dean's office, are that there's emergency lighting. If we did have a tornado in the area, there's a good chance we're going to lose power. If we lose power, the restrooms are really dark and maybe not the best place to be, the favorite place to be for a couple of hours in the dark. So you might want to get out into the hallway. Okay? Just past that, there's a classroom. Right underneath 254 is 160. That's the developmental math classroom. Now that's a big room. The walls are far apart, so that's not good, but it does have corners. And as long as you, especially on this back wall here, that's right up against soil. There's nothing behind you but dirt, and that's really safe. That wall's not going to cave in, I don't think. Okay? So that's not a bad place. It just doesn't have emergency lighting. You go through the double glass doors on that first floor and you're in the library area. That first room on the right is a computer room. That's not a bad place. The walls are closer than in the classroom, and you do have corners, and you're back against the soil, so you're fine there. Right next to that is another room in the library. I call it the research room or the reference room. That's where your globes and your atlases and those kinds of things are. You probably seldom go in there. That's pretty safe. Only sort of problem there, it does have some high bookshelves. I think they're well attached to the wall, but you don't want those falling on you. But I don't think that would be happening either. Don't go any further in the library. Close any further, and you get to an outside wall, and they have windows. So don't go anywhere where there's outside walls. And again, you go as a group. I'll be the last one out because I'll make sure everybody's down safely. Stay together. I take my roll book. I call roll when we get down there. I count for everybody. If we can't account for everyone, someone has to come back and look for you, risking their life or limb. So please stay together. Now, once we've got the roll call and stuff, and we've got time, yeah, you can mingle around. Don't go outside, but you can get with friends or whatever and kill time however you want to. Okay. Now, what's the third? You hit inside threat, as in fire or chemical spell. We got outside threat like weather, severe thunderstorm, tornadoes. What's the last one? We never even used to think about this. Say again? Active shooter. I'm sorry we even have to mention it. One community college I've heard of has had one. That's all I've ever heard of. Some universities have. Movie theaters, I mean, all sorts of places. Daycare centers, elementary schools, yeah. But, in case. Now, I'm hard of hearing. If you hear something popping going off that you think could be gunfire, please stop me and let me know. I'm probably going to be oblivious, okay? So let me know. What do we do in that case? Aha, very good. You've got it nailed. Number one, I want to lock this door. I don't want him coming in. Usually it's a him. I think there's been one her, but I don't want him coming in. Unfortunately, this doesn't have any buttons here I can lock from the inside. I have to physically go around to the outside of the door and fix it so it'll lock, and then come back in. And don't you be closing the door off, okay? Okay. Yeah. Sacrifice. Okay. Now, but we have another way into the room. So what do we do here? Now, it used to be that the security almost took care of this for us because they always forgot to unlock that door. This term, I told them, and finally they've done it, and I unlock it. So I don't have a key to unlock the one coming from the hall there. Now this one does have a button here, and you can press that, and it locks from the inside, but not from the outside. That doesn't do us any good. It locks us in the room. We don't want that. Okay? So don't lock this one. This one has a deadbolt, but it requires a key. I don't have a key for that. So that next door, I don't want to go do it, but they have a class in there. But they have a button too, and theirs locked from that side, and it's open from this side. That's the one you go and press the button. Okay? Not this one, not that one, but that one. We can't do anything about the hall button. Now, if you go that far and that room's empty, and the door's open, go on and close that door, make them think it's locked anyway. And then come back, lock that door, close this door. Why do you close this door? No, it's got a glass in it. You can see through. So close this door so he can't see. You turn off the light, and someone pointed, we get right back here. You're going to have a lot of friends. No. Why? You can look in here. Maybe you better shoot through the wood. Can't shoot through concrete blocks. Okay? So we get back there, we're very quiet, and we stay there. Okay? Until we hear all's clear from a reliable source. Okay? I hate that we have to think of things like this before, but if you hear it, we need to do the right thing, not the wrong things. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, there's a mechanical room there. It's usually locked, so I don't think they can come through that way either. And this is concrete block behind this too. So, yeah. All right. Any questions on safety? I'm so sorry to take so much time. Let's get to pre-calculus algebra. Unbelievable it took that long. I run off at the mouth, don't I? Don't answer that question. Okay. All right. Now, I think I told you before, and those who weren't here, you probably haven't been able to listen to YouTube, we're not covering sections 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. That's all review material you should know already. However, if you are fuzzy on it or you can't remember ever learning it, please ask me questions. Go back and look at those sections. We're starting today with 1.4. Okay? We're not going to get much done today, I realize that, but let's get as far as we can. Chapter 1 is functions and the graph. Now, if you remember from the syllabus, what was the first sentence in the course description? This course is the algebra of functions. So functions is going to surround everything we do. Okay? Now, if you took Math 100 here, you know they talk mostly about equations. Maybe right at the end of the term you had a section or two on functions. We're going to pick up with functions and go with functions. Guess what? Very little difference. Just the way you name things is about it. And this book especially loves graphs, okay? So we're going to be talking about functions and their graphs, okay? That's what the whole chapter covers. 1.4, where we begin, is functions, okay? Get an idea? Functions are pretty important here. So what are our objectives in this first section? Determine whether relations, now I don't know if you know what a relation is. It's like a function. In fact, all functions are relations, but not all relations are functions. So we'll make the distinction there. It determines whether a relation between two variables are functions or not. And we'll learn to use function notation. We will talk about domains of functions. We'll also talk about ranges and things like that as well. And we'll use functions to model and solve some real-life type problems. That's another favorite thing of math books, is to get it down to real use. And we'll evaluate something called a difference quotient. And we'll find we've already done that before. We just didn't call them difference quotients. Okay, but we'll get there. So let's start with introduction to functions and function notation. All right. Many everyday phenomena involve two quantities. Let's just give some dumb examples here. I think every one of you in here has a birthday, right? Good. All right. Excellent. Okay. And I bet you every one of you has a weight, right? Okay. Is there much relationship between your birth date and your weight? Probably not. Now, if you are a toddler, yeah, there could be a relationship. The older you are, the more weight you probably have. Once you get my age, we're trying not to have more weight. Okay, unsuccessfully, by the way. Okay, but anything that you have two quantities that are somehow related to each other by some rule of correspondence, that's called a relation. They're related to each other, it's called a relation. Like third cousin twice removed. No, nothing like that. Okay. That's the relation. The mathematical term for such a rule of correspondence is a relation. In mathematics, quite often we have equations. See? Equations, functions, almost the same thing. And formulas that often represent relations. Can anyone think of one right off the top? Say again? Okay, y is equal to mx plus b. Very good. That's sure. What do we call that particular function? That particular equation? The slope-intercept form for a linear equation, right? Now, here's how you make it a function. I'm jumping way ahead, but I'm glad you pulled that up. Where you see a y, change it to f of x. That's now a function. Just like an equation, you just change the y, which we call the dependent variable, to some function of the x, which is the independent variable. That's all a function is. Just like an equation you had before, you just change it to y to f of x. We'll come back to that later. Okay, here's another one. Simple interest. The simple interest, why do they have a slash there? I do not know. Earned on $1,000 for 1 year. I don't run into this very frequently, but I can dream about it. Okay, is related to the annual interest rate, R. So here, that's not a slash, that's an I. It's an italicized I. The simple interest I is related to the interest rate, R. There we have a relationship. Okay, how much you earn in interest related to what the interest rate is. Nowadays, it's almost zero. I mean, I looked at my we got a bank statement yesterday from a savings account we have. 0.5% interest is what we're earning on it. Give me a break. And the interest rates have been going up. That hasn't budged. Okay, the banks have a way of doing things. Okay, but yeah, the amount of interest you earn depends on the rate. There's a relation. Here's a formula for it. I, the interest earned in a year, is 1,000. That's the principal that you have, times R, which is the rate. So at 0.5%, that would be $5 I've earned in a year off of $1,000. My mattress will almost do that well. Not quite, I'm just kidding. Okay, but there's a relationship. Now, that's a relation What we haven't answered is that a function. But while we're here, since you already brought this up, thank you very much. Which of these is the independent and which is the dependent variable? Does anyone have a clue?
R is the independent.
Yes, R is independent. Change the rate, it changes the amount of interest you earn. Okay? So the bank sets that, the Fed sets that, somebody sets that, and then that determines how much interest you use. So this is dependent on that one. Okay? So good deal there. So that formula, I is equal to 1,000 R, represents a special kind of relation that matches for every interest rate you do, and $1,000 in the account, you get a different amount of interest earned, right? So that makes it for every rate you do exactly one amount of interest. Okay, let me give you another dumb example. You're in the bookstore. You bought a bag of potato chips. On the bag it says $1.39. Okay? The person ahead of you has an identical bag of potato chips, and when they ring them up, they charge $1.29. You say, "Oh, they have a sale today," and then you go to put yours there, and they charge you $1.39. Are you a happy camper? Not at all. Okay? Why not? Because it should be for any given input, you should have exactly one, not two, not 15 different outputs. It's called corruption. No, okay. So that's such a relationship. If for any one input you only have exactly one output, that's called a function. So here's the definition. A function F, oh, what a clever name for a function, for a set A, and we're going to name that set in just a second, to another set B, is a relation. A function is a relation. All functions are relations that assigns to each element x, in set A, exactly one y in set B. That set, the set A is called the domain, or the set of inputs of the function f, and the set B, all the possible outputs, that would be the range. So let's go back to our potato chips. What if you put all the snacks in the bookstore? That would be your domain. Maybe you include the books and the pens and the pencils. That's your domain. The range is how much money you might be paying on the way out. Okay? So, because set B is what they're charging. Or all the different interest rates you might have, 0.5%, 1%, 1.2%, whatever, those would be all the domains of this one, because that's the input. You input the R, you output the I. Okay? So how much you might be earning? $1,005, $1,010? Yeah, that would be the possibilities on the output. Okay? Does that make sense? Sort of. Okay. Here's another way to express a function. To help understand that definition, look at this, and this is called a mapping diagram. Okay? Let's say that we put a thermometer out here, hung it on the tree out there. Okay? And then I wanted every hour of the day, whatever class is in here, on the hour, I want you to read the thermometer. Okay? So we're going to map what the temperature is as the day goes on. Right? Every hour we're going to do it. So our input is the time. And here, they say we're just going to limit ourselves to 1 through 6. I'll be leaving around 6 tonight, so we'll do 1 through 6, starting this afternoon, p.m. Okay, we're going to read the temperatures. Now, when you look out there and read the temperature, how many temperatures are you going to read at 1 o'clock? One and only one, okay? The thermometer only reads a single temperature. Now, it's a different temperature at 2 and at 3, but anytime you read, there's only one. That's going to be a function. Input, temperature, output. Temperature depends on the time of day. Time of day doesn't depend on temperature. Temperature depends on the time of day. Now this shows it's 9 degrees Celsius. What in the world is that? Okay, that would be about about 50 degrees. Not in the south here. This is somewhere else, okay? 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, right. Okay, maybe in the wintertime. 2 o'clock, 13 degrees Celsius. 3 o'clock, 15 degrees Celsius. 4 o'clock, whoa, 15 again. Can you do that? Of course you can. It warmed up, now it's cooling off. It's perfectly okay for two inputs to have the same output, but you can't have one input having two outputs. That wouldn't be a function. This is perfectly okay as a function. 4 o'clock is 15, 5 o'clock drops to 12, 6 o'clock down to 10. So that's your, what do we call this set? Oops. Domain, and this one? You read my hand, didn't you? Okay, all right. So that's exactly what we have there. Does that make sense? All right. Another way to represent a function is a set of ordered pairs. Okay? Now, set, that's what the little, they call this a brace. Okay, the little squiggly things there, those are called braces. They always represent sets. There are other ways you can, but that's sets. Now, the set contains ordered pairs between these commas. Okay? This is the same set we just had. At 1 o'clock it was 9 degrees, 2 o'clock it was 13, 3 o'clock 15, 4 o'clock it was 15, 5 o'clock, okay? That's that same set, but this is expressed as an ordered pair. A set of ordered pairs. A little more concise than having to draw a box and arrows and stuff like that. That was called a mapping. This is just called a set of ordered pairs. Okay? Now, if this is what you had, here's what you look for to see if it's a function or not. You look at the first entry. There's only one 1, only one 2, only one 3, only one 4, only one 5, only one 6, and each one of those only has one thing. That's a function. Now, if you had a 1, 9, 3, 15, a 6, 10, a 2, 13, a 3, 12, whoops. A 3 here and a 3 here were different. Not a function. Relation for sure, but not a function. Okay? So when you have a set of ordered pairs, make sure that first entry only shows up once. If it shows up again, it better have the same second entry, and if it does, take it out. You don't need it there anymore. That would be a function if there's only one first. So here's characteristics of a function from set A to set B. Each element in A must be matched with an element in B. If we are going to take those times of days, you got to have a temperature for each time. Okay? If you extended that in the morning or in the evening or half hours or something, you've got to have a temperature for each one. Okay? So that's the first thing. Each element in A must be matched with some element in B. Some elements in B may not be matched with an element in A. Look here. We didn't use 1 degree. It was too warm. We didn't use 16. That was too hot for that time of year. So you don't have to use all the B's. Okay? 2 or more elements in A may be matched with the same element in B. We just saw that, didn't we? Here's 2 elements in A matched with the single element in B. Perfectly fine. No problem there. But any element in A in the domain cannot be matched to 2 different ones in B. That's not a function. Maybe a relation, not a function. Does that make sense? All right, good deal. And I hate to break this to you, but, we're out of time. Sorry about that, folks. Okay? We will begin next time with the 4 ways to represent a function. Maybe more, but we will have these. Okay, no new homework exercises today, so go back and check those first 3 sections. See if there's anything you're fuzzy on. Bring those to class on Tuesday. Also, think about your paper topic. Bring me your piece of paper with your name, paper topic, preferred email, and best phone number. Oh, you already got it. Look at this. Ahead of the game. Yes. They will be, but I haven't got them there yet. Right. Yeah, but yeah, if you can find it on YouTube, you can see them right now. Soon I'll have the link to YouTube, so you don't even have to look. Was there a question? I thought you brought me a piece of paper. Oh, look at this! Another one. Excellent. do you have like WebAssign or something? I don't. I can't put a book on Blackboard. I don't think.
Oh no, I'm talking so I can go buy it.
Oh yeah. If you want. Oh, and by the way, for those who are new today, I didn't say this, and I probably should have. I think didn't we determine they went to a new edition of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the old edition. You can use this. I'm not going to. Nothing difference has changed. But what you can do is go down to the bookstore and take a picture of that. Yeah. And you don't need WebAssign and that kind of stuff in this file.
The number and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Person,
Okay.
that's the topic.
So that's a pretty narrow topic.
If you want in like calculus or pre-cal,
Right.
I mean, I know about Euclid from.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. The next page in our text, we're going to hit Euler, another E one. But yeah, Euclid would be fantastic.
You have a good week.
All right, you too. Thank you much.
That website did not work.
Okay. And that's the company, or because I haven't done
The
so?
company? Well, I don't know. I guess it would be the company, but it's supposed to be a year thing. And then
Yeah. They rip you every chance they get. I will try to tomorrow. In fact, if I don't have any time today, but I will try, if not tomorrow, next, on Monday. I have some office. Yes, sir. Come on in. Just in between classes. Let me shut this down so I don't want